Hello everyone, so this is going to be a little video about what I'm reading, what I'm writing. So, what I finished, what I'm currently reading, I finally today finished James and the Giant Peach. So, I seen the movie, the cartoon, whatever you want to call it, you know, years ago. I can't remember the last time I actually watched it. It was never one of my favorite movies. Um, but I was looking for something short to read, something, easy. It is a middle grade story, and time is basically the only reason it took 3 days to finish it, since I was actually listening to it on audio from YouTube. Um, if it had not been for certain things, just a little bit here, I would have finished it days ago. But no matter how much I tried, I was just too tired to stay up and actually listen to it. I did enjoy the story. Actually, I liked the story a lot more than the movie. I never hated the movie. I just wasn't my favorite. It is a strange story. I mean, and a lot of the elements are still there. The basic story is still there, but obviously the book goes a little bit more detail. I don't like. I was not fond of the centipede. I don't remember what he was like from the movie. I'll have to watch it again eventually. But I don't know, that character just annoyed me. If you've read it, I don't know how you feel. I feel there's probably a lot of super annoying characters in children's literature because, oh, okay. You want cuddles, but I'm trying to do a video. Come on. Anyways, I feel there's always some kind of character that can get um, a little annoying, too much nonsense. I guess that's part of the charm of middle grade and children's literature. But it was not unbearable. Another book that I've read, so I've gotten back into Goosebumps a lot, as I've mentioned plenty of times before. And anyways, so I'm trying to catch up on the ones that I had never read, either because I just didn't get to them or I just ended up watching the TV show versions of it and never picked up the books. But there were a few that had never been adapted that I really do not remember reading. And I think the last time I really read Goosebumps, like really was into them when I was a kid, was in the very early 2000s, end of 90s. So it's been a little while since I've been an avid reader. And a lot of the books I remember mainly from the covers and everything, and basic storylines about the ones that I have read. But since it's been so long, I don't remember a lot of details. So it's almost kind of brand new to me. Again. But I had read The Beast from the East, and I really do not remember um, reading that story at all. I don't remember um, what happens at the end. I didn't remember any of the surprises or anything that I guess you consider to be in that story. And I really liked that story. It had, I mean, for a Goosebumps book, it had kind of we have to survive this and outsmart these things kind of thing, which could be my kind of thing to read about. I was not crazy about the ending, so I'll talk more about that once, I do my actual wrap up. But while I was reading it, I was thinking that it possibly could have been one of my favorite Goosebumps books. Until we got to the end. And I'm like, this right here, this is it. Um so I've downloaded on my Nook app about 4 more. One I know I definitely read. The other, I'm pretty sure I read because I remember the cover, but I don't remember anything about it really. And the other two, I had only seen the TV adaptations of. So unless they are really different, I do know how those end, but I still would like to read them. So the two that I've seen through the TV show would be Calling All Creeps and My Hairiest Adventure. So Calling All Creeps has, the boy named Ricky, who's, I guess, kind of the outcast, and he gets these weird phone calls about and meets up with these creatures called creeps. And then there's My Hairiest Adventure, which is a the book is basically about a group of friends who find this bottle that gives them hair, basically. They kind of grow a lot of hair and everything, and things kind of get strange, like around. Kind of hard to explain, but that one had an interesting ending, so I'm wondering if the book is quite the same, or if it's exactly the same. Because oddly enough, as short as they are, they changed a lot of things in the Goosebumps adaptations, and I'm really not sure why, because they're not that long to begin with, but they do. Vampire Breath was quite different than, am I thinking of the show? Yeah, the book and the show was different. So we'll see. The books that I am reading that are not adaptations, but I know I've read, is Beware the Snowman. I know because I had to do a book report on that one. So I do remember that one. I remember the character's name. I didn't remember every detail about it, but once I started reading like the synopsis, I'm like, okay, I remember this, and that. I feel that one's a little bit more of the darker kind of Goosebumps, because a lot of them are can be lighthearted, spooky, and stuff, and some of them get a little bit more, slightly deeper, slightly more bleak, and kind of, yeah. And that's one of them. And the other one is The Egg Monster from Mars, which I remember the cover. I remember some things about it, but not enough. So I'm wondering if I just didn't care for that one too much, or if it's just been so long. And the problem with not all of the Goosebumps being adapted into a an episode, I don't remember a lot of them because I watch the show. It's on Netflix, so my son watches the show quite often. So some of the stories are kind of hard to forget because you see them constantly. Even if some things are changed, you know the basic premise. Um, but yeah, I am really happy that I'm getting back into them. because they're short, they're fun, they're easy reads. And I have a feeling that a lot of my Goodreads goals are going to go up because of the books. There's like 62, so I have a lot still to read through. Because you have now your Goosebumps Horrorland and those Slappy books, and it's like 62 in the original like anthology series. So I have a lot of good short reading to get through on those. I finished Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the first book being The Lightning Thief. I really enjoyed this book. It is quite different from what I remember the movie being because I've seen the movie and I can maybe see where people are complaining about certain things. There's definitely more, I think, to the book. It's also a little bit more uh, funny, sad, adventurous. Of course, they changed the age of the characters and stuff. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the narrative. I enjoyed the writing style. Like I said, the story, the adventure, everything. Because I'm trying to get more into some other series. I have to finish Harry Potter, as I said before, and while I like Harry Potter in certain aspects, I can see where I will really like the Percy Jackson series because um, I've gotten more into things like mythology and stuff, so I can see where these two series might come head to head for me, but we shall see. Yeah, the concept of half-bloods and a special camp for them to go and train and learn to be, I guess you would say learn to be demigods or whatever they're supposed to be considered. Yeah, it was it's interesting, and I'm looking forward to the second book because I want to keep seeing how he handles mythology and telling it to children because Greek myths and mythology, the world basically, can be very interesting, but they can also be very adult. So seeing how they kind of made it more kid friendly, but still kind of I guess got certain points across. I really liked. I am doing my yearly read or my yearly reread of Hunger Games. If you've been watching my channel long enough, you know the first book itself is pretty much my favorite book of all time. But I am rereading the trilogy. A lot of people were starting like a read along in February. Yeah, February, March, April. So the first book, The Hunger Games, being in February, Catching Fire being in March, and of course, Mockingjay being in April. I am reading through audio, so I'm almost done with the first book, and I've started Catching Fire. Like I started reading a few minutes of it, or listening to a few minutes of it, and then I have a feeling that Catching Fire is probably going to carry on into April, and I'll read both that and Mockingjay. So it'll probably be mostly Mockingjay, the rest of Catching Fire, and A Frost in the Night that I'll be reading for April. Definitely those three. So the reason people, other than fan obsessed people like me, are reading it is because the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is the prequel book, is coming out in May, so in preparation, of course, people are rereading the original trilogy and time for the prequel to come out. I'm very curious about this prequel. It basically the main, I guess, protagonist, or it's mainly focused on Snow, who is the actual villain of the trilogy. And it is written in third person compared to the trilogy's first person. My guess is that she just wanted to kind of maybe wrap things up, and it's easier to do it in that. But the thing about rereading books, rereading your favorite books, or just books in general, is that you always come back to things that you haven't thought about for a while, or things that maybe you just kind of ignored or just put in the back of your head. You know, you find things that, like I said, you don't really think about all the time. And one of the things is that despite the fact that she made the list of my favorite female characters, Katniss is not a likable person. Not all the time. I think that's a reason that I can keep rereading the books. One of the reasons is because it lacks that not like other girls trope. Like, obviously, there are two people who are interested in her, but it's a lot more than looks or things unexplained. There are reasons why, and, you know, I also like the fact that not everyone falls in love with this character. I'm also going to say that while I loved the opening to the first book, I felt it had a lot of emotions. It opened really well. As, like, storytelling, I think maybe Catching Fire has a very more interesting first, like, line or so, even though Catching Fire is not my favorite of the trilogy. Um, so on to writing. I'm still very, very much at the beginning of my novel because I'm doing a rewrite of what I had written because I just didn't like it. I saw the basic concept, but things have been kind of changed around because I thought some things were getting a little too wordy and a little too ridiculous. My novel is a contemporary, a young adult contemporary, dealing with relationships, the treatment of people, friendship, etc. There might, there is going to be minor romantic type things in there, but it will not dominate the story. The story is going to be more about friendship, growing into something. But I definitely want to give voice to the side characters who are staying friends, etc. I really like fleshed out characters. I'm going to say this now for anybody who might be offended, but it's leaning towards a female-female romance, just so you know. Because my character is on the she's basically bisexual. And her family is also Wiccan, which I've always wanted to write into a book because there's not a whole lot of pagan characters in books, especially contemporary, that I can think of. The other book that I'm working on is a set of short stories based upon words that I had people give me. So I went to different platforms such as Facebook, etc., you know, and ask people to give me a word. It could be sky, can, floor, anything. Right? That is a word. And I was going to write a story around that, which I have. So far, I have done one story based around the word fear. And if I can, I'm going to see if I can link the link to the um, Google Docs that I have it in, so you can read it if you want. I'm also working on Entitlement, which was another one, and Llamas, which I love llamas. So I'm kind of aiming towards adventurous, supernatural, kind of spooky stuff for this little short story collection that I'm writing. My other one was kind of mixed, but I want to say it was mostly fantasy-ish and supernatural. My other book called Another World Called Ours, which you can find on Amazon. And yeah, that's all I have to say for right now. That is what I am reading. That is what I am writing. And thanks for watching, guys. This video is long now. Bye-bye.